because you're trying to increase your social media equity curve, and that's a fucking loser's game. And you could have been feeling good about it on the weekend saying, you know what? I didn't trade on Friday. I had a good week. Why push it? Why? Why the fuck do you need that? Because you're trying to increase your social media equity curve, and that's a fucking loser's game. Don't do that. It's about making fucking money and consistently keeping it. Fuck their opinion about you or me. Who gives a fuck? Do you think any of this shit that these people fucking say about money is changing anything? It hasn't. So don't worry about it. Don't factor any of those fucking things in. Keep your results. That's the focus. And follow the fucking rules. But whatever that next trading day is, whether it be the next trading day or the next week, on like on a Monday, if it's been Friday, you did this 2-day or 2 losing trades in one single day. What would you trade with if you lost 10 and 5? Well, you can't do 2.5. So just do 2 contracts. And you have to trade that 2 contracts until you make 50% of what you lost when you lost on the 5 contract losing trade. Once you get back to 50% of that, now this is the highest form of what I do. You shouldn't, in the beginning, you shouldn't do this. You should recoup the full loss that you took at the 5 contract loss. And then at that point, then you can go back to trading 5 contracts. And when can you go back to 10? When you make what that losing trade was when you lost on 10 contracts. You have to be organized. You have to be diligent about keeping records of what you did, how you lost the money, and how do you build it back systematically, soberly. You're not trying to go out there and just roll the fucking dice. It's not fucking Las Vegas, folks. You got to go in here with a principled mindset, knowing that you can lose your fucking ass. Don't take stupid risks. Don't guess. If it's not obviously in the chart and if the conditions aren't ripe or the production of a result that is favorable isn't likely and more in your favor than not, you don't fucking trade. You don't do that. You simply observe. And if you don't know when that is, you haven't been studying and backtesting and tape reading long enough, because you're going to know when it's obvious for you to get in. Right now, you're all just itching to get that feeling of winning the fucking lottery like it's a scratch off. That's dumb. That's a loser's mindset. You don't do that, folks. You don't do. Traders that make money consistently, they don't fucking guess. They don't guess. We know exactly what we're fucking looking for. We're waiting for it. If it doesn't materialize, we sit still. And we don't give a fuck about Tom, Dick, and fucking Harry on social media and what they're claiming they did. Does that make sense? Has anything I've outlined here seemed overly complicated, except for the folks that don't know my terminology? Or if you're too green and have never really looked at a chart and understood the references of the weekly chart versus an intraday chart, I understand then it would go over your head. But if you spend time with the content that I've put on my YouTube channel, you come back to this video or come back to this discussion or this recording, and everything I just outlined for you is a fucking pathway to the fucking bank. It's consistent, folks. What I just outlined here today, you'll get this at least 2 times a week. And you only need one. You only need one to have a career. One winning trading day. And if you stopped, that's a career. See, some of you see what I do against these people that talk shit about me. I'll put example out just every day. Boom, 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 boom. And you think that's what ICT wants me to do. No, it's not what I want you to do. I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is find your unique model that fits you, that fits your risk appetite, how you are comfortable with trading, your frequency of trading. And then live there. Bloom where you're planted. See, there's a lot of things I'm never going to fucking teach you folks, okay? I'm not going to do it because what I've taught already has been abused. And there was other things that I was never going to teach you anyway because I'm not permitted to teach it to you. But you don't need to know those things, but I will absolutely showcase that shit in 2023. You got no idea what I'm about to fucking show. But you don't need to try to keep up with that. Just because you're my student, you don't need to do that. My interest, my whole fucking reason for doing this is I want to see you all succeed and see beyond your paychecks. I want you to have that feeling of knowing that you have something extra, because that little bit of a help each month goes a long fucking way. When I was a young man, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a rant here, and then I'll open up for 5 questions. And please don't give me, yeah, I got 3 questions real quick. No, you got 1 question, and I'm moving on. When I was a young man and I moved out of my aunt and uncle's house, I was paying room and board with them, $50 a week, and they more or less were like, "Hey, we were trying to give you a helping hand, not let you sit here and get rich." And I was like, okay, well, that wasn't the result of our conversation and where I was thinking we were going to go with this, but I felt uncomfortable, so obviously I had to move out. And I didn't know a lot about life in general. I had a very sheltered childhood. I didn't know much about many things at all, really. And when I was living by myself, the rent wasn't all that expensive. I think it was like $416 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. And buying furniture and buying things for the house and stuff, it was awkward for me because I didn't know I didn't know how to pick shit, and I was single at the time, and I was afraid if I bought the wrong furniture and if I started dating someone, they wouldn't like the furniture. And then it was, because I'm obsessively compulsive, it was very, very difficult for me. And all these little decisions, these little things that I had to contend with, would be a factor in my trading. Like these things, like I would be thinking, am I buying the right fucking color couch? Is that rug in the kitchen by the sink, is that the right fucking color? Because if I meet this girl I'm trying to meet and she comes over here and she sees this fucking rug and she says anything bad about this fucking rug, I'm burning this motherfucking rug. Okay. And the whole time I'm watching crude oil. Okay. The whole time I'm watching gold futures markets. Okay. I'm doing all those things and I'm worrying about this stupid shit. So I know if I had to come back up through this stuff, the climate that we have right now, where things are hard, folks, these markets right now, these are the hardest market conditions I have ever traded in. 30 years I've been around this show. In the last 3 decades, this is the hardest time to be a trader. If you are profitable and you're consistently profitable, you know what? My hats are off to you. I'm telling you right now, this is where you're separated. Like this is the division. If you can find profitability in these types of markets right now, you're a fucking amazing trader. You controlled yourself, you mastered yourself, and all of you, regardless of whatever style you use. I mean, I don't give a fuck if it's something outside of what I do. I'm not the only one that can make money, obviously. But my opinion about how you should learn how to read the market, I'm biased in that regard. And everybody has their own opinion. Everybody that has a course, everybody has a service or program, they're all going to say they're the best. Okay. I get it. But anybody that's able to find profitability right now in the last 2 years, and you're consistently able to do so, you should be very proud of yourself. Because I'm telling you, I've never seen a market environment like this where something so trivial that can come out right at any time and the market goes to shit, unravels completely everything that you think you see in the marketplace. And you have to be very, very nimble. And one of the concerns I have going forward, and this is like one of the things I'm observing and studying, proficiently, or not proficiently, profusely. I think it's the term I'm looking for, profusely. Obsessively, let's just say it that way. I'm looking to see, do we deteriorate even more? And my obsessive compulsive disorder is flaring right now because this is where I would be putting the control M in and going back and editing out and then now saying it the way I wanted to say it. But I want to see, do we deteriorate more going forward? Does it get harder to trade? Or are we working ourselves out of those kinks in the marketplace where it's been very, very challenging, very, very difficult. Now, when I say that, obviously you can see that I can find setups and their precision is still there, but not to the degree that it was prior to 2019 and that type of climate. I want to see it come back, because if I can get that in 2023, you're going to see world history. But you can still see world history with this climate too. I want to see a little bit more participation from the group that I have created in terms of students, because it's tricky. It can present opportunities in the charts that may or may not be there, and it's very difficult for as an educator. I know what it's like to see potentially a setup, but if you have ignored what I've outlined here and talked about at the beginning of the space where I referred to the weekly chart, if you look at that weekly chart and you ask yourself, okay, forget that it's a weekly chart. Where does it look like it's reaching for? It's going to keep moving up or keep moving down until it gets to a specific level. What is that level? If it's going up, it's going to go to an old high because there's buy side above that. Whose buy stops are up there? Large funds. There's a reason for it to go up there. Okay. It's not buying pressure that's leading it there. The algorithm is just drawing up to that. When it gets there, it doesn't know that traders have paired themselves with those orders. It doesn't have that understanding. It just knows that that's where they are going to be residing. The algorithm doesn't know where your stop is and doesn't know where my stop is. It knows where every pool of liquidity would be, which is common sense. It's above old highs and below old lows. And whatever has happened recently, sell side's been taken. Okay. Make it real simple, ICT. What's it going to do? It's going to go for an imbalance above market price, which would be a SIBI. And I haven't forgotten, I told you I would differentiate that. It's going to reach up into that. Or if it continues through that, that would be your first objective, to get into that SIBI, but then trade to an old weekly high to tap into buy side above that weekly high. Then we sit still. We wait. Because what are we waiting for? We don't know if it's going to reverse there, and we don't need to fucking know. You just wait and see if it does. If it doesn't and it starts to continue more, fine, no problem. You continue with the buy side and you continue looking for what's the next draw on liquidity on that weekly chart. That's the number one principle for knowing what daily bias is. Why should that weekly chart be going anywhere? What's it reaching for? And reverse everything I just said for when it's bearish. If we have recently traded into a SIBI and moved lower from it, and we haven't taken out a short-term low or trade into its nearby buy side and sell side efficiency, the fair value gap that would have a green candle or bullish candle in between the two candles that would frame a fair value gap. If it hasn't traded down into that yet, that's your draw on liquidity. So until it does that, I'm thinking I'm going to sell model until we get there. Isn't that fucking easy? Isn't that easy? You need fucking harmonic fucking patterns on your fucking chart to trade. Why can't you just do this? You need all these moving averages and fucking indicators and shit on there. No. The things I do are not complicated. Understanding the language so that way I can communicate what it is that I'm looking for in terms of myriad of opportunities. I have lots of approaches. I have lots of tools and concepts. Because guess what? There's lots of fucking opportunities out there. And they're not always cookie cutter. So you get these 20-year-olds, oh, ICT's too complicated. He's got too many concepts. He's got too many tools. He's got too many. Because I'm a fucking well-rounded trader. I've been around for a long time. I got a lot of fucking weapons in my arsenal. And the longer you do this, you'll do it too. You'll have one choice set up, one weapon of choice that you love using. Your fucking bazooka, okay? Mine's a 50 caliber Barrett, okay? That's my one shot, one kill. I look for that each week. If I don't have it, no problem. I'll pull out my fucking 9mm and plink fucking shit. That's no problem. I can still take shit down with that. But I go in looking through my scope on my 50 caliber with what I just outlined right here. I don't need a fucking video to do this. I can explain it to you. And when you're listening to me and you're considering how you do your routine and what you've not been doing and versus something like this and how simple it is. It takes me longer to talk about it, even condensing it in the beginning, than it does to do it. And you make that a pattern, a routine that you do every single week. And in the beginning, you don't go in trying to predict it because right now you now have it. And the worst thing you can do tonight is, okay, the market's going to open up. Fuck it. I'm going in all in. I'm going to get funded, or I got a funded account. I'm risking it all. He's just told us the secrets. He spilled the fucking beans. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it. Oh, you're going to get it. All right. You're going to get fucking creamed because you're trying to do something you don't know how to do yet.